So now we get to move to what has become a highlight of the NCMA award ceremony for many, many years, our Fireside Chat. We like it so much, liked it so much, the NASCAR Hall of Fame stole it along with the moderator. But I'd like to ask Richard and Kyle to join Mario here on stage. And we believe this is a very unique, one-of-a-kind experience that we're all about to be able to have. To our knowledge, and in talking with the family and Mario and Richard, it's the first time that they have shared a stage together in this kind of format. So pause and think about that, and as you take pictures tonight, you're looking at two of the Mount Rushmore drivers in motorsports. Two of the Mount Rushmore drivers in the history of motorsports sharing the stage. And we have one of the most knowledgeable historians and somebody I consider a Mount Rushmore of moderators, Kyle Petty, to steer this ship. So sit back and enjoy.
Thank you for that. Have a seat. I don't know where we're going to go with this one. First, I have to clear up a couple things. Moody was exactly right about Barney Hall. I made a note of that. Barney knew who was unhappy, who needed to be looking for rides. Barney was the first guy that told me in 1984, 83, 84, that my dad thought I should talk to another car owner at some point in time. So you're correct. True story. No. So how's it going? How's it going with you guys?
Good.
Okay. Congratulations. Congratulations, you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Look at a nice trophy there.
Yeah, it is.
Well deserved.
It is heavy.
Is this one working?
Yeah, you're working. Okay. Yeah. But I have the power to cut you off if I want to.
Sounds good.
Okay. So here, this is going to be real simple. I'm just going to throw stuff out, and you guys just go with it. And I've been fortunate to interview you and talk to you on a couple of different occasions for a TV show and do some stuff. But I would like for you, and we saw a clip of it up there. Tell me about your first race, because Fangio, all those guys were there. You saw the greats of Formula One race in your very first race.
Well, I raced the first race in Nazareth.
That you saw, the first race you saw.
The
first race you saw when you were 14. The first race you saw when you were a kid.
14 years of age, yeah. Yes, there was some friends, obviously, that realized that my twin brother Aldo and I just gravitated to motor race, to Formula One, because it was, you can imagine, Italy, Formula One became official 1950, but it was Alfa Romeo and Nino Farina, one of the Italian drivers that won the first championship. And then you got Ferrari, Maserati, Alfa Romeo involved. So as kids, I don't know why, because our family didn't even have a car at that time. But we gravitated to the sport, and we used to hang around the garage. So anyway, some friends took us to Monza to see the Italian Grand Prix, and of course my absolute idol, Alberto Ascari, who was current world champion in Italy, and the only one since even.
Wow.
Except, thank God for me, actually born Italian, but I always carried the American flag, of course, the U.S. flag. But anyway, and you can see that witnessing something like that, the impossible dream was born, but it was impossible. Yeah. And but did we ever have a plan B? No. No plan B. And to be honest with you, I'll tell you, when we came to America, it was about the following year, really, 1955. And it was, we arrived here in June 16th. So full swing of the racing, racing schedule. So anyway, it was on a Thursday. On a Sunday night, we're hanging out at my uncle's house, and all of a sudden in the background, lights and a big roar come on. And Aldo and I looked at each other, and we just followed the sound. We booked down there, and here we peeking through the fence, and we see these brute-looking modified stock cars. Well, they didn't look as sophisticated as Formula One cars, but it looked doable. And all of a sudden it says, "God bless America." God bless America. Because, again, 2 years later, age 17, we obviously...
Oh, I'm gonna come back to that one, because I want you to tell that story. I want you to tell that part of it. What do you remember the first race you saw?
The first race I went to was first race that NASCAR had with the stock cars, 1949.
Yeah.
Here at Charlotte, and my dad had borrowed a Buick from some guys at the service station. Car run real fast on the road, so he had read in the paper Bill France was going to have a race at Charlotte. So he talks him into borrowing it. And he said, "Look, I borrowed the car, and you can have half if we win any money, you can have half. I'll keep half." Well, he ran about, and that's the first race I went to. He ran about half the race. Something broke on the car. Big four-door Buick. Turns over, knocks the doors off of it. And we had drove the car to Charlotte. Me and Mother.
You drove from Level Cross to Charlotte.
Yeah. And I just put a number on it and put it on the racetrack. That's how stocked it was. Anyhow, we was lucky we didn't have a way home. We was lucky my uncle had went to the race.
Yeah.
So we were able to go and get a ride. The next race, he said, "This car's too big, too heavy, brakes." So he goes out and buys a 49 Plymouth Coupe. And so the next race is in Orangeburg. It's in Hillsborough, North Carolina. We drive the car to Hillsborough. Me and Mother and Morris, my brother, and Daddy. And he runs the race, and we drive it home. I mean, that's how stock everything was to begin with. So really, we never really went to any of the races before that.
Yeah. So you were a race fan right off the bat. As soon as you saw it, you loved racing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. How about you? When did you fall in love with racing?
When they throw the green flag.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it was one of those things. I'd never been exposed. We lived about a mile off of a highway down a dirt road, and had no radio, no television, no telephone, no electricity. So we didn't even know there was a world out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody around us, they wasn't no poorer than we was.
Yeah.
We didn't know we was poor.
Yeah.
Guys next door had the same thing we did.
Yeah.
So, but anyhow, once Daddy started racing, we found out there's a real world out there. So racing just took us out of the country, took us to the city.
So on a previous interview, you told me the story about how you and Aldo started racing. So tell me about your first race and how you guys kind of worked out the driving schedule, and please throw in the part about your uniforms and that part of it also.
Yeah, well, first of all, we started at 17. We thought in those days you had to be 21 to race professionally, and so, but the car was ready. 2 years later, we were only 19, so we figured we're not going to wait 2 years. So what do? Well, we had to start fibbing for one thing, but the other one was we befriended the local editor of the local newspaper, Nazareth Key, and said, Les Young, I said, Les, you got to do something with the birth date on our license, and which he did. And in those days, no computer or anything, but the other thing is we sent for the racing uniforms, Salasport racing uniforms in Italy. I had white, and Aldo had blue. Understand we had one car, 2 drivers, 1 helmet. And so anyway, somehow, and again, we started fibbing that we used to race Formula Junior in Italy. And, you know, once Chris, you know, we won some races. Actually, I'll tell you, the first race, Aldo and I never decided who was going to drive the first race. But we befriended a local, the promoter there, Jerry Freed, and he let us practice on a Thursday. And the races in Nazareth were every Sunday night. Anyway, before the race, before the heat race and so forth, we flipped a coin. And Aldo won. And actually, I was happy, you know, because I had no idea what was going to happen. And because of the handicapping, obviously, you know, there was no history for us. And he started last. And I'm watching. Man, he's passing one car after another, after another. He wins the heat. And we were in hock, $2,200. And you know, you could go right to the window and get $25 for winning the heat. And a feature comes along, starts last in a feature. And the same thing, he won the feature. Honestly, $125. So the first race we made $150 cash. And so anyway, that was the beginning. But again, this thing got in the papers, and then Chris Economaki got this story about Formula Junior. So it reached a magazine, Autosprint in Italy, and our relatives and some of the friends said, "Oh, you bad boys, you never told us you were racing while you were here."
Because you never raced in Italy.
Oh, my goodness, are you kidding? You know, anyway, so, and the thing, again, we just started out well not because we were smart, but we had a geek.
Yeah.
You know, the guy that knows everything, Charlie Mitch, and he steered us in the right direction. And, you know, in those days, I think the Hudson cars were really doing well, especially on the dirt. I think because they were very rigid chassis because of the unibody construction, and when you run a lot of cross weight and all that, you know, they repeat it. So anyway, we decided to do Hudson because the guy says to us, he said, let's not, no use building something that these guys have been doing for a career every day. Let's go there with something different. Yeah. And that really paid off for us.
Yeah. I want to ask you this before I go to him. You told, and one of the things we did, you told a story that your dad didn't speak a lot of English.
No.
And that he worked at the steel mill. Did he work at the steel mill?
He worked at Bethlehem Steel.
Yes, at Bethlehem Steel. And that you guys were winning races, and people would come by and tell him how good you and Aldo were.
Yeah, you know, my dad, he obviously, you know, was a parental, you know, feeling that in those days, again, the fatalities were, you know, order of the day, the weekend, and he knew that our idol, Alberto Ascari, was killed just a month before we came to America besides. So whenever we talked about racing, they said, "You kids are crazy." So the bottom line is, I know that if he would have told them that, you know, we're racing, he would have stopped it because we're still underage. And so we figure our defense is the language. You know, we learned how to speak English pretty quick. You know, we actually had 3 years of English in school while even in Italy. And anyway, so as you said, we were winning some races, and, you know, it was in the papers. And his boss at work says, "Hey, Gigi, man, the kids are really doing well." I had no idea what the guy was talking about. So we got away with it. And he first found out the very last race of the season It was at Hatfield, Pennsylvania. It was an invitational. You had to be top 3 in one of the 3 tracks within a 150-mile radius. And Aldo and I, we won some races, so we qualified for that both. Yeah. And I got a ride with somebody else, and he rode our car. And in the heat race, he was trying to beat. He was qualified. He was running second, and he was trying to lead. And anyway, he hooked the guardrail end over end, and he was given his last rites that night.
Aldo was.
Aldo, because he had a fractured skull, and he was in a coma for 28 days.
Wow.
After that, so that's how my dad found out.
Yeah.
That we were racing.
Yeah.
But the best thing, when Aldo finally came to, it took him a while to speak, and the first thing that he says, I'm glad you were the one to had to face the old man. So we got him back. He knew.
So, and Mario spoke to it. He had somebody help him. Had somebody that understood the car. Had somebody. Yeah. You had Granddaddy. You had Granddaddy. What was your when Granddaddy finally said, "Here's a car, go do it"? Where did you guys end up?
Well, really, what happened was up until when I started in 58, 59, and he called all the shots. He told us what to do to the car, when to do it, and then we'd get in the race together. But he was winning races, and I was just starting. So we never raced each other. We was in the same race.
Yeah.
But anyhow, and then in 61, he had that bad accident at Daytona, and was in the hospital like 4 months. Yeah. And the deal was we just had 2 race cars. And I'd crashed in one of the qualifying races, totaled the car out. When Dave, he crashed in the second one, totaled the car out. We had no race cars. So I think Monday morning we go over to the hospital, and he's all doped up, got leg messed up, ribs, and I don't know. Anyhow, I tore it pretty bad. And so he says, go home, get another car, and me and Mom will be home about Friday. 4 months later, on Friday. But anyhow, so me and my brother, we had never run anything.
Yeah.
We had just done what we were told to do.
And how old were you then?
I just turned 22.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Chief, I guess, was 21.
Yeah.
And so we go back, we go get a car, start working on it, and we start running and have all kinds of trouble. Don't really know what we're doing, you know what I mean? And we kept working, and then Danny comes back like the 1st of July or something, kind of gets us straightened out. By the end of 61, we was running a little bit better. And by 62, my brother and myself was running basically the whole show, and we started winning races. So it was just kind of a deal that, we had everything there, but we was doing it on a dirt floor in the backyard. So no modern equipment, any of that. But nobody else had anything. So we was just, and it was so new to everybody, nobody knew what to do. So we was as good as they was.
So where's the first race you ran? Where's the first race you ever ran? And how old were you? We've heard Mario's story. How old were you?
I think I just turned 22 and ran Columbia, South Carolina. Ran a convertible race. And I think we wound up 6th in the race. And I said, man, it's going to be easy. The next 5 races, I crashed.
Yeah.
I thought I was a race. I thought I was a race car driver. Okay. Finally got
And reality sets in.
Yeah, it sets in. It sets in quick.
And I know somebody else done the same thing. I'm not pointing.
Are you pointing at me?
I think I'm pointing at you.
So here's what he's referring to. Listen to this. Here's what he's referring to. I'm going to tell this one on myself. Bill Venturini will appreciate this. So I go to Daytona, and so first thing I do, we go to Daytona in '79. Okay. He kept telling me I had to be 21. You gotta be 21 to race, 21 to race, 21 to race. So can't wait that long. I go to night school. They throw me out of night school. So I finally talk him into saying, I'm just graduating from high school. I'm like, let me race. So he's like, you get that Dodge ready, and we'll go test. Okay. So we work on this Dodge. We get it ready. And I said, where are we going to go test? He said, we're going to Daytona. I've never driven anything. I've never been in anything. Nothing. Zero. Never backed a car out of a garage. Never drove it around the parking lot. Never drove anything. So we go to Daytona. And we go to Daytona. They put a car cover in the right side of the car. He gets in. He straps in. Puts his helmet on. He said, I'm going to show you how to get around this place. We go out and we ride around real slow and then come off turn 2 and we're flying. He's like, there's a big old bump down here in 1 and 2. You want to go over it or you want to go? And he's screaming at me in the car. I got no helmet. I got no seatbelt. I'm just hanging on the roll bars. We were on 192 miles an hour. 192 miles an hour. Okay? 2 things. If your dad takes you to Daytona for your first race and he puts you in a car, you might want to check the love meter. I think he's trying to get rid of me at this point in time. This is what I thought. So I go down there and run the race, and that's we qualified and run the race and all this stuff. I think I'm a driver. I'm a genius at 18, okay? And we come to Charlotte. He takes the car out to test. Okay, he goes out and runs around. I'm paying no attention. Why should I pay attention? I know more than he does. You know what I mean? They put me in it. I come off turn. I go down the back stretch. I'm up at speed. I go through 3 and 4. I come down the front stretch. I drop her off in 1, and I hit somewhere over in 2. And I come in, and him and Dale Inman are standing there. And they're like, what happened? I said, it won't turn. I'm cranking that wheel, and it's just going straight. And they both looked at me, and they said it at the same time. You know why it won't turn? You didn't let off the gas. And I said, what do you mean? You can't run wide open around Charlotte? I thought you could run wide open around Charlotte just like you did Daytona. I had never driven anywhere in my life. That was the first day. Second day, I wiped out the car. I totaled the car. That's a whole nother. So let's go to you guys in the 60s. You guys, whatever you set in, you won. 60s and into the 70s. Just there was a period there where, and you were the same way. You were the same way. But the thing that tied you both together, and it was mentioned up here, was Granitelli and STP. I mean, it was STP all over everything. So I want to ask you one question here. The kiss. Tell me about the Granitelli kiss. Then I'm going to get Richard Petty to tell us about the Granitelli kiss.
I still smell the garlic. And it was on my cheek. It was not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I loved Andy.
Yes.
He just obviously he would express his emotions to the maximum, and I know how much he spent, the efforts that he made about winning Indianapolis. That's all he cared. To me, okay, we love Indy, we love that, but that's one race, and
Yeah.
But with him, Indy only, and so to be able to win for him, it was really as much satisfaction as winning for myself, quite honestly. So you could see that he was all over. So I allowed that kiss.
Yeah, you allowed it. Did you allow the Granitelli kiss?
We was at Daytona, and it must have been 73. We signed with the STP in 72. Yeah, 73. And so we was there celebrating, and here he comes. A great big belly, great bouncing around. Anyhow, and he comes around, and I'm standing on the side of the car. He comes around with his arms all out, and I said, uh-oh, here he comes. I turned and run around the car just to get away from him. Because I knew what was coming, because I'd seen you.
Couldn't get away. No.
You should see the pictures of it. There's pictures of him, and Granitelli's running like this, and he's going the other way in victory lane at Daytona.
You didn't see him coming.
So you, and I was asked this way. Your first race you saw was F1, and that's what is there. You come here, you start off in hobby and jalopies and move up to midgets and sprints and anything with wheels. What, I guess, were you just wanted to drive anything, anytime, anywhere? Is that, I mean, you won championships in INDYCAR, in the Champ Car. You went on to win a Formula One champion, which is just a totally different level. Totally different, and especially during that period of time, because as you said before, fatalities happened. That was the nature of the beast in the 60s and 70s when you guys were racing, when I was growing up. But, I mean, Le Mans, the 24 hours at Daytona, I mean, everywhere, Sebring, your drive at Sebring is still the thing of legend that people talk about. What drove you to drive anything? Because you were offered a lot of stuff.
Well, just desire. I just want to be in a race car, and I had the appreciation for all the top level, of the disciplines, and quite honestly, I was obviously coming through the ranks. What do you shoot for? You always shoot for the top,
yeah.
And it's just like going to school. For me, coming through the ranks, you can make a career out of just doing midgets or just sprint cars, which is fine. But I wanted to get to the top, to the Indy cars and so forth. And so once I got there, then obviously, luckily I ended up with one of the top 3 team, a good team, which is everything. And we were successful because in '65 was my rookie year in Indy cars, and I won the championship. I was the youngest guy to do so at the time. And so that opens doors. And, we developed a great relationship with Ford. They came there with the new double overhead cam engine and all that, that's what we were using. And then, all of a sudden, when in '65, when I won the championship, also finished third at Indy, I got Rookie of the Year, and that year I befriended Colin Chapman and Jim Clark. Jim Clark won the race in the Lotus. I finished third.
So that relationship started in '65.
'65, and after the banquet, the day after Indy, the typical banquet, we were saying our goodbyes, and I told Colin, I said, Colin, someday I would like to do Formula One. And he says, Mario, when you think you're ready, you call me and I'll have a car for you. Oh my goodness. I thought, this is heaven. And so from there, I figured I gotta get into some road racing. And I started getting into sports prototypes. And '66 was my first 24 hours of Daytona with a Ferrari, and on. And then I lobbied like crazy at INDYCAR, to start going into road racing. And in fact, in '65, they had the first and only road race in Indianapolis Raceway Park, which I won.
Yeah.
And I figure, oh man, So that's it. And to me, sports prototypes was really the way to learn the skills for road racing. Because you're there, you do a lot of miles, but also a lot of testing. And Ford was embarking into their Le Mans program. They wanted to win Le Mans, and that meant so much testing and development. And I offered myself, I said, no matter what, I can be there at every test.
Yeah.
And they had a couple of Formula One drivers. One was Bruce McLaren. Also, he was one of the top drivers testing. And I befriended him because Bruce was a very technical driver. Like slow corners. That's a lot of the places where you really make the time and all that. Or lose the time, and I learned a lot from him. He and I became really good friends. In fact, we won the first 12-hour of Sebring together in 1967 with the Mark IV Ford. And so, like I said, that was and my objective. And then in '68, after I had won some, road races in INDYCAR and so forth, and some sports car races, I called Colin Chapman, and I said, I'd like to do the last 2 races of the season, and which was Monza and Watkins Glen. And he says, fine, I'll have a car for you.
Wow.
So I got to tell you the story, because so we tested in Monza, and we had the baseline because a week before, Ferrari tested there with Chris Amon, very fast driver, and I went out there, and actually I equaled or just slightly better even his time. But my first experience in a Formula One car, after experiencing sports prototypes and even the Indy cars, the pure design and factor of agility of the Formula One car is strictly for road racing. I thought I died and went to heaven.
Yeah.
I mean, it really suited me. And then I'll tell you very briefly, Monza didn't happen because on a Saturday, the following weekend was a race. But I was going for the championship in Indy cars, and one of the Champ Car races was the Hoosier 100 on the dirt in Indianapolis on a mile on a Saturday. So I was there on a Friday, qualified on a Friday, and because in those days, every lap that you ran in practice counted for qualifying. They didn't have a qualifying session. Anyway, and then I flew back to the States and ran the Hoosier 100, finished second to Foyt, flew back to Italy, and I arrived there in time, just about in time for, well, it's a long story about that, I'll tell you, but how we got there. But there was a protest, even though it was actually agreed by the organizer that we're going to waive the 24-hour rule. There was a 24-hour rule in the FIA that you could not drive a major race.
Oh, yes.
And,
Yeah, you couldn't drive within a 24-hour period, one to the other.
Yeah, one to the other. And this was like an hour and a half or so, technicality. Anyway, but the protest was by Ferrari, protested us, and I offered to go and listen to what's happening, and they had Colin Chapman there, and they were all speaking Italian. He couldn't speak a word of Italian, obviously, or understand, for that matter. And so they said, nope. No driving.
No way.
So, no way. So my first race actually was here at Watkins Glen 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
And I put the car on pole.
Yeah.
And that was next to Jackie Stewart, the current world champion. So, and I figured, oh man, that was one of the best days of my life because, you never know. You never know. But I was with the right car, with the right people, and but it just. All of a sudden I think I belong.
Yeah, that's incredible that you go to Indy in your rookie of the year, you meet Colin, and he plants that seed, and you need to go road racing to get to the end result. So you stayed in one place. You never went anywhere. And explain that because you get that question all the time. Why didn't you go try this other stuff?
The big deal, we got to running and won some races, had opportunities to go other places, but racing was our business, Petty Enterprises. So I was the main driver, and I looked at it from the standpoint, hey, this is my company. Our Petty families, this is our company, and if I leave, we got to pay somebody to drive the race car. And I said, if I go over and even if I win somewhere else, then we're losing at Petty Enterprises. So basically, I never really even thought about going to anything else. I love driving the stock cars and never really, I went to Indy one time and Fort was up there and had this little INDYCAR and stuff. And, I'm sitting there with these 11.5 shoes. And he said, why don't you get in? And I said, okay. He said, you got to put these size 7 shoes because that's the only room there was for the pedals. Okay. He's got 7.5.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. But anyhow, and that was the closest. And I just went up there to look.
Yeah.
But that made up my mind real quick.
So I'm gonna, one more question, and then we'll go. You guys came along at the beginning of Formula One. Champ Car was already here. Indy was already here. Stock cars come along in 49, NASCAR. The period you came along, and you're still involved in the sport, you're still involved in the sport. From a driver's perspective, just from a driver, does it take the same mentality today to be a champion driver as it did? Has that ever changed? Has that ever changed what it takes to be a champion driver?
You want me to answer first?
Yes, please.
I'm a great believer that yesterday's champions will be champions today,
Yeah.
and vice versa.
Yeah.
I think the human element of it is basically the same. Obviously, the sport, like anything else, evolves. You have a different type of help today, technical help. You have the computers and everything else. The computers, unlike some of the young drivers believe, don't drive the cars. So the human element still
Yeah.
paramount.
Yeah.
And that's my way
Yeah.
of thinking. And it's over the decades that I think I know I'm right.
Yeah.
Well,
I believe you. Listen, I'm not arguing.
he basically, his career answered that question.
Yeah.
Okay, because he started here and ended up here and drove all different
Yeah.
kinds of cars. And so the guys that come through with me that won races, they would win races
Yeah,
today.
yeah.
Okay, the deal, some of the guys that are running today probably couldn't have driven the cars that we drove because the cars didn't handle that much. I think as time progressed, especially in stock cars, the beginning of the car was just a stock car, so the driver had to do everything. And over a period of time, the cars got better, okay? And the good drivers still won races.
Yeah.
And the cars are so much different now that I think the car basically in the new cars that NASCAR's got now, the car is probably 50% of the car.
Yeah.
Used to, the driver could put in 75. He can't do that with these particular kind of cars.
Yeah. But I want to say this. We live in a time where we have superstars in our sports, whether it be basketball, football, baseball, anyway, we have superstars. And I think what I went through and I looked around today and I looked at these two gentlemen, Mario Andretti, Richard Petty. I looked at Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer. I looked at Muhammad Ali. I looked at Mickey Mantle, Wilt Chamberlain. All these guys were born between 1930 and 1941 and 2. These guys, all those guys that I mentioned, and these two in particular, to me, transcend superstardom to hero status and legend status. So thank you guys. God bless both of you for being here. Thank you.
You ought to check this out. This is the long and short of racing.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. It's been our honor to be in your presence this evening. Thank you, King. Thank you, Mario. Thank you very much for your time. And thank you to all of you for being here. Thank you to Fifth Third Bank for sponsoring this. Thank you to Exceldine. Thank you to Jostens for being official partners tonight. As Scott said, we'll see you back here June in 2027, which will be the 25th anniversary of the NCMA. Thank you. Have a good night.